Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Here we are. We are in a recession by definition. Now, I want to really underscore the word by definition because there have been some entities that are trying to redefine what a recession is or is not in the last 24 hours. And we'll talk about that as well in just a few minutes. But today we need to talk about what this means that we are, by definition, in a recession. What could this mean for all of us as investors, but also just as regular people, because we have to deal with this as well. And then does it mean anything for the stock market, and what should we do as investors? So first, recession. Now I'm gonna tell you this. Now y'all that have been here liking and subscribing for a while, you know what it is, right? I got my first degree in economics. I spent 4 years at Hampton University learning econ, and for as long as I've done that, and even from beyond then, a recession has always been defined by 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. Gross domestic product. That's what GDP stands for. And that's it. And you got me and other people who have econ degrees on Twitter real upset because the White House yesterday, as well as a few others, are trying to redefine what a recession is. And they are technically right, but also technically quite wrong, because in reality there's always like what we all know to be true, and then there's always like the really deep in the weeds stuff. And there is a Bureau of Economists. They get together and they, number one, also revise the GDP numbers. They do this twice, and it usually takes months. They go back and basically double check the math that we got today. So you have to revise this number 2 times. Sometimes it's revised up, sometimes it is revised down. We'll see what that means. And then also this Bureau of, or group of economists, also sit down and consider other factors like unemployment numbers and spending and inflation. And they get together and they are the ones that come out and say official recession started on X date or what have you. They also are the ones who declare whether or not recession does end. So while that is technically true, the dictionary definition is whether or not you have 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, which is what we have. So I, as someone who has an econ degree, says it is a recession, and therefore it is what it is. Now, you're probably like, why am I more animated? Just because I'm upset, okay? Like, that has always been the definition. And no point in my entire life in econ, with the exception of the last 2 days, have I ever heard someone trying to redefine and focus on the in the weeds part. We've always said it's 2 quarters. It's been 2 quarters. I've been saying it. It's y'all saw definition. It's literally in the textbook. It is what it is. Okay. Now when they come out and tell us what we already know, they're not gonna say anything different. I've never seen that happen. But that's all we need to know. It's a recession. Okay. Now, because of the recession, I'm trying to calm myself back down, but because it is a recession, this is not, it's not the same recession that we have always seen. A lot of times we always think and go all the way back to 1929 and think about the Great Depression, or we go back to 2007 and say, oh my God, we're going back to those times. It may not even be that bad, and there are a lot of good reasons as to why it may not be. So remember, in the first quarter of this year, I think it was negative 1.4%. That's what we lost. We contracted that much in Q1. Well, in this quarter, as of the numbers we have today, it's contracted less at just 0.9%. So it is a slowdown. We can definitely confirm that, but that slowdown is starting to, the slowdown is really slowing down. And next quarter, maybe the quarter after that, we might get out of this from a definition perspective, and GDP may or may not be positive. We'll see. We'll definitely see. So that's one thing. The other part of it is unemployment is less than 4%, which is really good. When you go back to 2020, which was the last recession, a lot of people just gloss over that, but that was a recession in 2020. It only lasted about 2 months. That was it. That was it. And unemployment back then was near 14%. If you go back 2007, 2008, we also had double-digit unemployment numbers back then. So double-digit employment in 2008, 2007, 2008, double-digit unemployment in 2020. if this is a recession, which I think it is, I don't think it shocks anybody, but if it is, unemployment is still low. People are still spending. Inflation is high, and we don't like that, but the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates and slowing some things down. So there is a case where it is just a normal, I'm not going to call it a normal recession, but it could just be mild, where outside of high prices here or there, we might be okay. We're actually going to find out what the inflation number is tomorrow. Like I said, this week has been busy. I've been putting out a lot of content. But aside from that, we're going to find out what happens tomorrow with inflation. Obviously, that's going to reflect last month's number. I would expect, I would really expect, because we keep raising interest rates, I would expect the rate to come down a little bit. It should not continue to accelerate, especially because we saw gas prices come down. I can't speak to all the other things that go into the inflation number, but we'll see, because you got gas prices, energy prices, food, all types of things, used cars, all those things are factored into that. I don't know what the used car number is right now, but I do know gas has fallen. That's one of the top 3 to 5 items that have contributed to the inflation number. So I would expect it, if it's not going to be lower than 9.1%, I would expect the growth from, what was it, from April, May, June, I would expect it to start to slow down and at least not be as aggressive as what we have been seeing over the past few months. That's an expectation, okay? We'll see. I'm going to still follow my plan. I'm a dollar cost average on Friday like I always do. Which brings us to the investor side of things. And I wanted to just read you a few of the notifications, a few of the hundreds of notifications that I got today, just to show you that this could be different. And a lot of times we say recession, people want to take out their 401k, which I don't think is a good thing, and people just overreact and think this is going to be the end, we're going to fall off of some cliff, as if the last recession was not very quick and over. Like, I'm not going to say it was mild, because 14% unemployment is really high, and that was not a fun time to go through, but 2 months, it was over, right? In the 1990s, we had a recession that was like 8 months or less. So they don't always have to last years and years and years, even though the average recession is about 18 months. So here's some other things that happened today. Yeah, other stuff also happened today. Apple reported their earnings. Yeah, earnings are still happening right now. They reported a record of $83 billion. A record. A lot of other companies are slowing down, not all, but they just reported record revenue of $83 billion. That doesn't say recession to me. Amazon also beat their earnings. That doesn't say recession to me. Now, Best Buy did not do well. You could argue whether or not that is a recession. So the data is still mixed. But I think I saw a stat yesterday that said about 70% of the companies that have reported positive earnings, that they did beat their expectations, and that from a consumer buying perspective, we're still okay. It doesn't mean that we're all in the best shape of our lives. It doesn't mean we don't complain about high grocery prices and things of that nature. But this is not what we saw in 2020, and it really isn't anything that we saw in the early 2000s or even 2007, 2008, 2009. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it is still a measured approach. But this is the thing. As I've said this before, this is still a great time, an amazing time. The market was even up today, mind you, but this is still a great time to continue to invest. And it's why I've been holding companies like Microsoft, even though they haven't done well this particular year. I've been continuously investing in Apple, and they reported a record revenue in a year like this. This is why you go through these tough times, why when it feels like the world is falling apart and the market is down, everybody's not excited about investing, where you still sit there and say, these are good companies. The market may not think so, but I know that this is still a good company based on how they operate, based on the products they create, and based on the numbers that I am seeing. So, you know, if I start to look at the money I'm making on Apple and how long I've had it, might be quite nice. Might be quite nice for something like an Nvidia and some of these other chip makers. So that is my inflation report, or inflation report. That is my recession report. It is official in my book, and I think probably 99% of other people who have a neutral opinion on this, but it's definitely a recession. It does not mean that it's the worst thing in the world, and every recession is different. Do keep that in mind. Now, last thing I'll mention is our members only. We are going to do a breakdown on some of the chip makers. I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on those. So it's going to take me some time because I have to read up on at least 3 different companies, and these documents are like 80-90 pages long. Now, I'm not reading every single one cover to cover, but it does take time to create value for you. Okay, so I want to take my time and do it and not just throw names and numbers and stuff at you. So Micron, Nvidia, Intel, if you have another chip maker that comes to mind for you, AMD is one that I'll take a look at. Let me know in the comments below so I can give you my thoughts on the companies you actually care about. Okay, so let me know what you think about some of those chip manufacturers, and I will do that video probably over the weekend to get everything together and give you my thoughts and opinions from that. Also, check out the members only group. Maybe some of that content will be inside the members only. You know, I like to save the good stuff for the members, so make sure that you join the members only. It's only $10 a month. We do at least one video every single week that is exclusive, deep, and detailed. All right, that is it for me today. Like and subscribe. Some of y'all be watching all the time and commenting, which I love. But hit that subscribe button too, man. It's free. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.